Merry Christmas. Kill Halloween and Kiss Thanksgiving. Perhaps the most famous Christmas story of all time, besides the one in the Bible, is Charles Dickens' A Christmas Carol. Wicked old miser Ebenezer Scrooge is visited by four ghosts, and he learns the true meaning of Christmas and is able to turn his life around. And I thought this Christmas it would be fun to go through and watch every single adaptation of A Christmas Carol. And that would be a good idea if there weren't approximately 1 billion of them. There are so many adaptations of A Christmas Carol. According to my research, it's the third most adapted novel of all time, behind Dracula and Frankenstein. So instead, I chose a handful of adaptations that I would talk about. So if I don't talk about your favorite one, tough. Also, I do have my microphone again, but I don't have the dongle, so this is just for the aesthetic. Now you might be thinking, the perfect way to divide up this video would be past, present, and future, like in the story. And first of all, leave the ideas to me. Second of all, that's a terrible idea because pretty much all the movies would be in the past. And as far as I could tell, there weren't any that came out this year, so there's nothing to talk about there. And for future, I saw that maybe there's one coming out next year with Johnny Depp, but I couldn't totally confirm if that was true or not. So that'd be really interesting to talk about. Well, maybe they're gonna make another movie. So I've actually divided this up a different way. I've divided these movies into 5 different categories. So for each of these movies, I decided to rate them in 4 categories. 1 for accuracy to the book. I listened to the audiobook before I watched any of these so that I know how accurate they were. And I'm not one of those people who's like, the movie has to be exactly accurate to the book or else it's bad. But with A Christmas Carol, Dickens is really good at setting things up and then calling back to them later. And some of the adaptations that are a little less accurate will set things up without calling back to them or vice versa. So I felt like it was a little important. I'll also be rating the acting, the music, and an overall score that isn't necessarily influenced by the other 3, but just how much I liked it overall. With some of them, the music isn't really noticeable, so they kind of get like a 4 or a 5. So if it's less than that, then it means the music was bad, and if it's more, then it was good. The first category is live action adaptations. The first live-action film adaptation of A Christmas Carol was in 1901. It's black and white, it's silent, and it's about 6 minutes long. So they kind of do as well as they can for only having 6 minutes of runtime, but it really just speeds through the story. They miss a lot of details, obviously. But it's also kind of interesting that even though it's 6 minutes, it's not until 3 minutes in that you actually see Marley, you see the first ghost. It's like, if you're not going to have your inciting incident within the first 3 minutes, you're going to lose your audience, you know what I mean? Also, I guess to save time, Marley shows Scrooge his past instead of a separate ghost. The next one on the list is the 1951 version with Alistair Sim, I believe that's how you pronounce it. This one's regarded by many as being one of the best versions, and it's pretty good. The actor does a good job playing Scrooge, I suppose. They do kind of spend a lot of time in his past, showing his work relationship with Marley. They delve a lot more into that than the book does. They add in a few pretty good quips from Scrooge as well.
I suppose you better have the whole day. But be back all the earlier next morning.
I will indeed, sir. Thank you, sir. It's more than generous of you, sir.
Yes, I know it is. You don't have to tell me.
Also, the Tiny Tim in this movie isn't really that tiny. It's kind of a normal-sized Tim. Which also begs the question, at what point did they stop calling him Tiny Tim? When he was an adult, did they just call him normal Tim? Doesn't really roll off the tongue, I guess. Next one is the 1984 version with George C. Scott. And this one's probably my favorite. It's the one I'm most familiar with it. My family watches it every Christmas Eve. It's a pretty good adaptation. It's one of the more faithful to the books. The acting's good. The actors all look a little bit too British, but no, it's set in London, so what are you gonna do? I think the biggest strength of this film is the music. The score is so good. Like, when Scrooge's fiance breaks up with him is like the most dramatic thing that could have ever happened.
May you be happy in the life you have chosen.
If you're gonna watch just one this Christmas, this is the one that I'd probably recommend. Now we have the 1999 version with Sir Patrick Stewart. Patrick Stewart gives a great performance, of course, and this isn't his first time playing Scrooge. He's played Scrooge for the theater a few times. He even did like a one-man play where he played all of the characters, I guess. I don't really know how that worked. There's also an episode of Star Trek Next Generation, which stars Patrick Stewart, where they do a story pretty much based on A Christmas Carol, and Patrick Stewart plays like the Scrooge type character. This one's pretty good overall. The Christmas past ghost is a little scary looking. There's also a line when Scrooge finds out about Tiny Tim, and he's like,
I didn't know Cratchit had a crippled son.
Why didn't you ask?
he's supposed to be like, hey, Cratchit, by the way, do you have a crippled son? It's like, what do you mean I guess it means he never asked about his family, but it's kind of funny the way it was worded, I guess. The 2004 version stars Kelsey Grammer as Scrooge. It also has Jason Alexander as Marley and Jane Krakowski as the Ghost of Christmas Past. I kind of chose this one for the cast because I know those actors from sitcoms, but it wasn't that good. This is the first one I watched that was a musical, and all the songs kind of sound like they're being made up on the spot. They just weren't really that good.
Mr. Scrooge, I'm sorry, but sir, might I go? He'd like to be anonymous.
I'd like to be left alone.
Something interesting they do is that the ghosts like come to Scrooge beforehand as like poor people on the street that like ask him for help and he rejects them. It's kind of an interesting choice. This one also spends a long time in his past, and we kind of see the evolution of how he became miserly businessman or whatever. In the book, it's just like he was a young apprentice, and then next time we see him, he's obsessed with money and his fiance breaks up with him. But in this one, we actually see how he got from point A to point B. Okay, the last version in this category is the 2019 one with Guy Pearce as Scrooge. It also has Andy Serkis as the Ghost of Christmas Past. He does a pretty good job. One of the letterbox reviews I saw for this one said Zack Snyder's Christmas Carol, which is a pretty good description of it. It's a very dark take on the story. It's a mini series and not a movie, so it's like 3 hours long. Because it's long, they kind of took some liberties to fill the time. At the beginning, they show Marley like getting his assignment to go and talk to Scrooge, which I actually thought was kind of an interesting thing to see. This is also, I think, the only one that actually shows Ali Baba. There's a scene in his past when he's a kid, and in the book he sees all these visions of Ali Baba and all the other characters from his childhood books, and this is the only one that I remember that actually showed Ali Baba. I guess they had enough time to spend on that. Some interesting choices they made. The Ghost of Christmas Present was Scrooge's sister. There's also this whole storyline where he like blackmails Cratchit's wife. This is the first one where we actually see the face of the Ghost of Christmas Yet to Come. Usually he's portrayed as death, but in some of these versions it's like an actual person. The most interesting thing they did though was his redemption is very different. He kind of rejects it.
All their efforts were for nothing because I refuse redemption.
He's like, I don't want to be redeemed. I don't think I deserve it. I do want to save Tiny Tim. Let's make sure he doesn't die. But like, I'm just going to kind of go off the grid. That's basically what he does. He gives the Cratchit family a bunch of money and then he just kind of disappears. The second category is animated adaptations. The actual first animated adaptation will be in a different category, so we'll get to that later. But the first one that was just a straight up normal adaptation of the novel was in 1971. And this one actually also stars Alistair Sim from the 1951 version. The animation is kind of interesting. It's kind of like pencil sketch. I don't know. I'll show some examples. It's a little creepy. There's some like weird close-ups where the characters get a little too close to the screen. This one I think had the most accurate adaptation of the Ghost of Christmas Past, because in the book it's kind of described, it's like biblical descriptions of angels. It's a very cryptic description. Like, what are you actually talking about? Part of the description is that its face changes, like it's sort of young and old, and its body parts are kind of shifting. In this version, that ghost actually does sort of fluctuate. Also, some of these character depictions are a little questionable. Next, we have the 1997 version with Tim Curry as Scrooge. A lot of the animated adaptations, for some reason, they give Scrooge a pet. Like, this one, he has a dog. Like, why? The dog is voiced by Frank Welker, the goat, but it's kind of useless character. Well, what's it doing there? This one's also a musical, but the music just kind of made me laugh. Whenever they started singing, it was just funny.
Everyone's gone but the cat.
It didn't really have the intended effect. One of the one of the not as good adaptations that I watched was the 2001 Simon Callow plays Scrooge. But the reason I picked this one is because Nicolas Cage plays Jacob Marley. It doesn't actually really sound like him, so you can't even really tell that it's Nicolas Cage unless you saw the casting.
Ebenezer, I've come to warn you.
And this one, they have a scene like at the beginning and at the end that's live action, where Charles Dickens, played by the same guy who plays Scrooge, he like comes to read his story to an audience. That was kind of interesting. There's this whole like subplot they added about these debtors that owe Scrooge money. It's really not interesting. He also has these two mice that are like with him the whole time. Like I don't really know where they come from, or like are they his pets? I don't know. Nobody ever really talks about them until like at the end. Cratchit is like, "Why do you have two mice on your shoulders?"
There's two mice. Never mind the mice. They were here on time.
Scrooge is like, "Well, they actually showed up to work on time, so unlike you." It's kind of funny. This is one of two adaptations out of all the ones I watched, where at his nephew Fred's party, they actually play the game that they play in the book. They call it Yes or No. It's basically 20 questions where like they're trying to guess something and you can only answer with yes or no.
Is it animal, vegetable, or mineral?
You can't answer that, dear. Only yes and no questions. That's the game.
Most of them, if they do play a game, they play some other game. Like in the 1984 version, they play this game called Similes, where basically like you say the first half of a well-known simile and everyone else has to guess the end, which is like kind of a really stupid game. So there's a part where like at the beginning, Tiny Tim like comes to Scrooge's office and Scrooge like dumps a bucket of cold water on him, and then they bring it up later at the Cratchit family dinner.
He's kept me employed for almost 14 years. We should be grateful.
He threw a bucket of freezing water on our Tim. That's what he did.
We're like, we're gonna make a toast to Scrooge. He literally poured cold water on our sick child. It's just like maybe a little over the top. I have a note that says random song at the end is bro tripping, but I don't remember what that's referring to. The 2009 A Christmas Carol was directed by Robert Zemeckis, who's kind of like the Spielberg's younger brother of filmmakers. He did Back to the Future, Forrest Gump, Castaway, and more relevant to this, Polar Express. And the reason that's more relevant, not just because it's Christmassy, but because he does the same like 3D motion capture animation style with this one that he does with Polar Express, and it looks just as bad. This time, instead of having Tom Hanks play all the characters, it's Jim Carrey. Well, he plays Scrooge and he plays the three main ghosts. And then we have Gary Oldman playing Marley and Cratchit. Which, quick side note, imagine your name is one letter away from gay old man. Like, I know middle school is tough for that guy. This one also has Colin Firth, Robin Wright, and Carrie Elwes. So, pretty solid cast. It's honestly a pretty good adaptation. It's pretty faithful to the book. The only problem is the animation looks terrible. But other than that, this one's pretty solid. The score in this one is pretty good too. It's done by Alan Silvestri, who's kind of like the John Williams' younger brother of film composers. He's basically done every Robert Zemeckis film, but solid score. Also, there's a line in the book at the beginning when Scrooge is talking to his nephew. It says, let me see. Scrooge said that he would see him. Yes, indeed he did. He went the whole length of the expression and said that he would see him in that extremity first. And this version of the film is the only one, I believe, where Scrooge actually says, I'll see you in hell.
Let's see you in hell first.
So, points for accuracy. Okay, the last animated adaptation was a 2022 Netflix original version. I honestly don't know why I watched this one. It wasn't that good. A lot of the reviews just talked about like how they made Scrooge hot. The animations, it looks like every other 3D animated movie from the last 10 years. It's a musical, but like the songs are okay. He has a dog. Again, also, for no reason. There's a very weird scene in this. So, the Ghost of Christmas Present has all of these little, like, minion goblins for some reason. I don't really know what they are, but he's got all these things. There's this whole musical number with him. But then when it shifts from present to future, instead of a new ghost coming, the Ghost of Christmas Present, along with all of his little goblin minions, they all, like, turn evil. Like, what is happening right now? Like, is really weird. Wouldn't recommend that one. Anyways, moving on to the next category. These are franchise adaptations. What I mean by this is when a pre-existing franchise uses their characters to retell the Christmas Carol story. So if you left an angry comment that I forgot the Muppets Christmas Carol, go ahead and leave another comment saying that you're sorry that you were wrong, and also while you're at it, like and share the video with all of your friends. Because now it's time to talk about Muppets Christmas Carol. Everyone that I've ever talked to about this movie, besides my own father, loves it. For all the other versions, I would read the reviews on Letterboxd, and almost every single version I could find a review that mentioned Muppets Christmas Carol. It's probably the most popular adaptation. And it's great. I love the Muppets. Michael Caine plays Scrooge, and he gives a great performance, but have you ever known him to give anything less? Be honest, have you ever known him to give anything less? Be so for real. I remember seeing some interview where he said that he approached this as if it was a very serious adaptation and he was surrounded by human actors instead of, playing it like it was a goofy Muppet movie. And it works very well. We also get Gonzo as Charles Dickens narrating it and Rizzo the Rat as himself accompanying him. We get the classic Muppets humor.
Well, because I know the story of A Christmas Carol like the back of my hand. Prove it. All right. There's a little mole on my thumb and a scar on my wrist from when I fell off my bicycle.
No. Don't tell us your hand. Tell us the story.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
There's lots of fun songs and stuff.
It's all the ways that we show love that feel like Christmas.
It's a good time. I do believe this is the first Muppet movie they made after Jim Henson died, but the rest of the crew did a good job picking up the slack. There's a lot of slack that he left behind, but they do a pretty good job picking it up. This is also the other adaptation in which they actually play yes or no or 20 questions at Fred's Party.
Let's play yes and no.
Oh, wonderful game.
It's a little different than all the other musical adaptations because the music actually like helps tell the story. In most of the other ones, it's like, all right, let's pause the story, sing some random dumb song, back to the story. Like it totally ruins the flow of the story. But in this one, it's actually like moving with the story. You know what I mean? I watched a few other ones. There's the Mr. Magoo Christmas Carol, which probably a lot of people don't know who Mr. Magoo is, but this one was the actual first animated adaptation of A Christmas Carol. It came out in 1962. This was okay. The only weird thing is that they do the Christmas Present and then Christmas Past. I don't know why they did it out of order, but I watched Mickey's Christmas Carol. That was perfectly okay. If you like Mickey Mouse and his friends, go ahead and watch that one. There was a Barbie Christmas Carol, which the only Barbie content I've seen is the live action one with Ryan Gosling. And honestly, there was a severe lack of Ryan Gosling in this. I actually have that same exact criticism for every other adaptation. If Ryan Gosling's not going to be in your movie, why bother making it? You know what I mean? The Barbie one is also the first one with a female lead for the Scrooge character. There is one other version I'll mention later that has a female lead, but let's have a quick shout out for women. Alright. 6'4", by the way. Also, the animation in this movie is kind of terrible. She has this really ugly cat named Chuzzlewit. And there's also this orphanage that she goes to, and the orphans put on this musical number, and they're very obviously adults doing the singing instead of children.
Merry Christmas! It must be so amazing. Bum, 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 bum. Joy to the world, the Lord is come.
And the only other one, there's a Flintstones one, which I didn't actually bother to watch. So if you like Flintstones, watch that one, I guess. Okay, this next category is versions of A Christmas Carol with a twist. So it's like A Christmas Carol, but... So probably the most well-known of this is Scrooge, the one with Bill Murray. He plays this like TV executive who's, you know, kind of out of touch and really greedy and whatever, and he's visited by the ghosts. This one deviates from the story, well, in a lot of ways, but the main one being it takes place on Christmas instead of Christmas Eve, so like during the day. Bill Murray's pretty funny in this. If you like Bill Murray, then you'll have a good time. There's a lot of other fun people in this as well. It's a pretty good time. I was going to say this is the least appropriate one I watched, but then I watched Ghost of Girlfriends Past. This one stars Matthew McConaughey as like a womanizer, and it's the night before his brother's wedding, and he's, you know, faced with all of his poor decisions with how he's treated women during his life. It's basically just a rom-com that like kind of uses the ghosts past, present, future thing. I don't even think it really takes place on Christmas. Like there's snow outside, but I'm pretty sure it's not Christmas. Also, for my 13 going on 30 fans out there, Jennifer Garner is the lead, you know, love interest in this. And the girl who plays her younger self in one of the past scenes is the same girl who plays her younger self in 13 going on 30. So that was cool. There's one called An American Christmas Carol, which takes place in the U.S. during like the Great Depression. This one has Henry Winkler as Scrooge. This one's from like the 70s, so Henry Winkler is like 35. So they put on like a bunch of makeup and stuff to make him look old. But he does all right. I thought it was funny that when the Marley character shows up, he immediately pulls a gun on him. Like, okay, this really is the American version of A Christmas Carol. The story was pretty accurate to the book. I mean, considering the change in setting, they have like the whole Tiny Tim story and everything. So it's about as accurate as it could be, considering it took place at a different in a different time and location. There was another movie called Spirited, which came out just a few years ago, starring Will Ferrell as the Ghost of Christmas Present and Ryan Reynolds as the character that they're trying to redeem. This one is technically a sequel to the original Christmas Carol story, which makes it unique. And here's some spoiler alerts. Spoiler alert, if you don't want this movie spoiled, skip ahead 20 seconds or whatever. Will Ferrell's character, he plays the Ghost of Christmas Present, but he's also originally Scrooge. So after Scrooge died, he took over the role as the Ghost of Christmas Present. That was a pretty interesting twist. I thought it was funny. It didn't get very good reviews, but I had a great time. It is a musical. The songs are really fun. It's made by the same guys who did like Greatest Showman, La La Land, etc. Good afternoon! Good afternoon! So I thought the music was good. I thought it was funny. I thought it was fun. Ryan Reynolds basically plays the same character he plays in every movie. So if you like that, and if you like Will Ferrell, then you might have a good time. If you don't, then don't watch it. There's one called It's Christmas Carol. This is the other one with a female lead. It's about this woman who's like the president of a publishing company, and she's, hates Christmas or whatever. I watched this one because Carrie Fisher was in it. Other than that, it was kind of boring. Carrie Fisher plays her old boss, who is the only ghost. There aren't 4 ghosts, there's 1 ghost, and she kind of does the whole thing herself. Something kind of funny about this is that, because the main character, she's the president of a publishing company, and she mentions in one of the flashbacks that she is a fan of Dickens. And then after they do past and present, she's like, all right, what's next? And she Googles a synopsis of A Christmas Carol to find out that the future was like, first of all, like, even if you haven't read the book, you could have figured that out. Past, present, what's next? But like, someone who's allegedly a fan of literature and Dickens. Also, everybody knows the story. This wasn't a very good movie. Okay, the final category is parodies. Most of these are like TV show Christmas specials where it's like, oh, let's do a Christmas Carol type story. But there is one exception, which might actually be the best adaptation of the story. Epic rap battles of history, Donald Trump versus Ebenezer Scrooge. It starts as a rap battle between Trump and Scrooge, but Trump is like the Marley character. So he leaves, and then JP Morgan, who refers to himself as the ghost of rich dudes past, comes in. And then they get Kanye West for the Christmas present, and then just straight goes to Christmas future, just like death. They didn't pick anybody for that. That came out in 2013 on actually the exact 170th anniversary of A Christmas Carol being published. Coincidence? Probably. It's kind of funny looking back at that because I was 10 when that came out. I did not know who Donald Trump was. And I did not know who Kanye West was. And I did not know that they would both be running in the 2020 election.
God bless us, every... Hold on! Who's there? You decide!
Now, moving on. There's a lot of TV show parody episodes of A Christmas Carol. Even as early as like the 60s. Like Bewitched is an old show from the 60s, and they had a Christmas Carol episode. I'm just going to list off a bunch of these. Doctor Who did it twice. Quantum Leap, Star Trek Next Generation, as I mentioned earlier, Always Sunny in Philadelphia, Animaniacs, Arthur, Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Veggie Tales, Simpsons, Scooby-Doo. It seems like everybody who wrote a TV show at some point did a Christmas Carol version. I want to take a moment and talk about why is this story so popular. It's kind of always been popular. In fact, some historians credit that novel with saving the Christmas holiday. Because I guess in the 1840s, celebrating Christmas was kind of going out of fashion. But then this book was published in 1843, and it was just instantly popular, and it started to become more popular to celebrate Christmas. And I mean, look at what a commercially huge holiday it is today. I think what really resonates about it is, even though it doesn't really mention Jesus at all, it does a really good job at capturing the Christmas spirit. Giving, family, love, joy, all of those things are captured really well. It also sort of causes a lot of retrospection. We can look at ourselves and see, is the path we're on leading us to the future we want? Are we doing enough to help our fellow men? And it can be tempting to shift that responsibility to the rich people, to the Scrooge-like characters of our world. But we also see from the character of Tiny Tim that even the smallest, feeblest attempts to help our fellow man are significant. It's also kind of nice to see that, see rich and powerful people being held accountable, which is, something that doesn't really happen in today's world. It's a little less believable than the whole ghost element, probably. A lot of Scrooge's sentiments are seen a lot in today's world. Like, he has this philosophy at the beginning of the story that poor people are poor because they're lazy. And, he says if they would rather die than work in inhumane conditions, sort of the Victorian London version of an Amazon warehouse, that they should die and decrease the surplus population. He has a privilege that many people who believe those sort of things don't, where he actually gets to see who the surplus population is. And he has to come face to face with those realities that he's never really experienced. He's able to see a multitude of perspectives and actually understand who these people are that he's talking about. He also sees that a lot of these people who are much worse off than him are happier than him. Like, if you contrast the Cratchit's Christmas feast, even though it's a humble feast, it's a lot better than his bowl of gruel that he's having for Christmas Eve. And there's this deeper message there that, it's not all about the money and the material things. You can have lots of money and be sad, or you can have money and be happy like Fred, but you can also have no money and be happy. In fact, this might be kind of a controversial take, but I think The Grinch is kind of a Christmas Carol adaptation. This mean old guy that hates Christmas, but he learns a lesson that, Christmas isn't all about wealth, and then at the end he becomes good, and he eats who hash with the Cratchits, or, etc., etc. I think ultimately what we learn from A Christmas Carol is that it takes very drastic measures to convince rich people that poor people deserve to live.